that the decisions we make about war are not sport. They're not politics. But they're families that are broken as a consequence of these decisions. And sometimes we have to make those decisions. And we revere our military and the fact that they're willing to make those sacrifices. But we don't play games with it. And we don't play games with it in November. We don't play games with it in December. We don't play games with it in January or June or any month of the year. We make sure that we're talking about our national security, and that's about politics. I think the American people are ready for that. It's not that they're focusing too much on national security, it's that in all their focus on politicking and point scoring, they've achieved too little. I'm happy to have a debate with our president because I think that we can do better than simply watering down the Geneva Conventions as a strategy to defeat. I don't think that George Bush, I get in trouble with this at JJ dinners, but I always insist on saying it because I want people to be clear. I don't think George Bush is personally a bad man. I think he loves his country. I don't think that his administration is full of stupid people. I think there's some smart folks in there. The problem isn't that their philosophy isn't working as it should. The problem is it's working exactly as it's supposed to. The reason that they don't believe government has a role in solving national problems is because they think that government is the problem. They think that if we dismantle government, if we divvy it up, and individual tax breaks, particularly to our wealthiest citizens, if we hand them out and encourage everyone to get their own schools for their kids, and your own health care, your own retirement security, your own child care, your own private security forces, and your own roads. If you dismantle all the work that people like Robert C. Byrd have done over their entire career, if you dismantle what FDR built to provide some semblance of security to this country, that somehow we'll be better off. It's called in Washington the ownership society. But in our past, there's been another term for it, social Darwinism. Every man or woman for him or herself. It allows us to say to the family whose health care or tuition is rising faster than they can afford, tough luck. It allows us to say to the child who doesn't have the foresight to be born to the right parents in the right wealthy suburb, life is tough. Too bad. It allows us to say to the guy who's worked for 20 or 30 years in a plant and suddenly sees his job go to Mexico or China so that he doesn't have any health care and his pension is gone and his whole life is pulled out from under him. You're on your own. It's a bracing idea. Now, it's a tempting idea. It's tempting because it's the easiest thing in the world to say, you're on your own. That I don't have to worry about you. There's only one problem with it. It won't work. It will not work because it defies our history. And the United States is rightly famous for its individualism. West Virginians, I know, are self-reliant people. They work hard. And they believe in looking out for themselves. But the history of the United States, the history of West Virginia, is that we also look out for one another. As Robert Byrd said, that the golden rule is not just something that we live out in our daily lives, it's also something that expresses itself in our public policies. That we don't just worry about being my brother's keeper and my sister's keeper in church, but we also think about how do those values express themselves through our government. How do we make sure that we're mutually responsible for each other? How do we make sure that every child has a decent shot at life? How do we make sure that every senior is able to retire with some dignity and some respect? How do we make sure that folks who are able and willing to work can find a job that pays a living wage? How do we make certain that a family is not bankrupt because the child gets sick? The essence of what has made our democracy work is our capacity not only to look after ourselves, but actually look after each other. That's what America is. And so I am eager to have that debate with the President of the United States. And I am eager to have that debate with this Republican Congress, because I know what this country stands for, and what I also know from traveling all across the country is at their core, the American people are decent people. They get confused sometimes. They listen to Rush Limbaugh sometimes. I focus a little too much on Fox News. Mostly they're just busy, they're tired, they're not paying attention. Because they got their own lives to lead. But at their essence, they want to do the right thing. And they deeply love this country. And they deeply love their fellow Americans. And they believe in the values that have made this country great. And this time, in this election, I think they're paying attention. I think the problems of the last 5 years have made them pay attention. So the only question is, what are we going to do as Democrats? Because I think this is our moment to lead. Right now. The time for the Democratic Party's identity crisis is over. Don't let anybody tell you that we don't know what we stand for. Don't doubt yourselves, Democrats. We know who we are. We know what we believe in. We know what our traditions are. And in the end, we know that it's not enough just to say we've had enough. That we've got to have a positive vision for the future, that we've got a story to tell. So let it be said that we're the party of affordable, accessible health care for all Americans. That we're the party that won't make Americans choose between a health care plan that bankrupts the government or a health care plan that bankrupts families. Let it be said that we're the party of energy independence. West Virginia and Illinois both got a lot of coal. There's no reason why we shouldn't invest in clean coal technology to put people back to work. We've got a lot of farms all across America. There's no reason why we can't invest in ethanol and biodiesel and flexible fuel vehicles so that we can grow the fuel that we need and stop sending $800 million a day to some of the most hostile nations on earth.
Yeah.
So we stop funding both sides of the war on terrorism. That's what we can stand for as Democrats. Let it be said that we will conduct a smart and tough foreign policy. The other party's got the monopoly on the tough and dumb strategy. Let's say that we've got a new one that battles the forces of terrorism and fundamentalism by matching the might and effectiveness of our military with the power of our diplomacy and the strength of our alliances. And when we go to war, let's always be honest with the American people about why we're there and how long we're going to be there and how we will win and how much it's going to cost. If we do this, if we do those things, West Virginia Democrats, if we can be trusted to lead, then it will not be a Democratic agenda. It will be an American agenda.
Yeah.
Because in the end, we are proud Democrats, but we're proud Americans. And we're tired of being divided, and we're tired of ideological walls, and we're tired of partisan roadblocks. We're tired of appeals to our worst instincts and to our greatest fears. It's time to turn the page, West Virginia. It's time to write a new chapter in the American story. It's time for all of us to get a little bit fired up. It's time for a change. History does not belong to the timid or the uncomfortable. It's not ruled by those who stay at home. It's owned by the doers. It rewards the risk takers. And it remembers those who found the moral courage to turn the tide by swimming against it. So I ask you today, West Virginia Democrats, to kick off your bedroom slippers put on your marching shoes. Just like our grand